It was a chilly evening as I made my way to my mother's house in the outskirts of Sweden. The road ahead was shrouded in darkness, with no streetlights to guide my way. The dense forest on either side of the road created an eerie atmosphere, and the occasional rustle of leaves heightened my sense of isolation. The few houses that dotted the landscape were nestled deep within the woods, their long driveways concealed from the road. In my mid-20s, I was used to the solitude of the drive to my mother's house. However, this particular evening would be etched into my memory forever. As I navigated the winding road, my headlights cutting through the inky darkness, something on the roadside caught my attention. A small bundle lay there, barely visible in the dim glow of my headlights. My heart raced as I approached, and dread crept over me. It looked like a baby wrapped in a blanket. Instinctively, I slammed on the brakes, coming to a halt about 50 meters away. My mind raced with a mix of concern and disbelief. Abandoned baby? Panic set in, and without second-guessing, I threw the gear into reverse and hastily maneuvered back to the spot. As I neared the mysterious bundle, relief washed over me. It wasn't a real baby, it was just a toy wrapped up in a blanket. As I reached down to pick up the toy, a sudden realization hit me. I was alone on a desolate road at night. The gravity of the situation sank in, and I became acutely aware of my vulnerability. Just as I straightened up, headlights appeared in the distance, approaching rapidly. Panic surged again. I had been so engrossed in the strange discovery that I hadn't noticed the approaching vehicle. I sprinted back to my car, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The headlights behind me drew closer, and a feeling of impending danger enveloped me. With trembling hands, I started the engine and sped away, the pursuing vehicle right on my tail. The driver honked incessantly, intensifying my fear. Frantically checking my rearview mirror, I couldn't discern who was behind the wheel. The darkness masked their identity, adding to the terror that gripped me. My mind raced with thoughts of escape, but the relentless pursuit continued. Desperation mounted as I approached my mother's secluded driveway, a narrow path veiled in darkness. I made a quick decision. If the car followed me down the driveway, I would call my mother, urging her to contact the police. The 2-mile journey felt agonizingly long, with the pursuing car relentlessly tailing me. Struggling to make sense of the situation, I couldn't shake off the memory of the toy baby on the roadside. The eeriness of the evening amplified my unease, and I grabbed my phone to call my mother. Breathless, I informed her of the situation, urging her to contact the authorities. She assured me that help would arrive in about 5 minutes. As I turned onto the driveway, the pursuing car showed no signs of relenting. Their aggressive honking persisted, echoing through the silent forest. My mother's house appeared in the distance, illuminated by my headlights. The car behind me remained uncomfortably close, and the tension reached a breaking point. I hastily parked, jumped out of my car, and was met by the sight of my mother waiting at the front of the house, a kitchen knife in hand. The pursuing car also came to a stop, and an elderly couple emerged, shouting and pointing at my car. Confusion and fear gripped us all as the truth unfolded. The man who had been tailing me had clandestinely entered the back seat of my car when I stopped to inspect the toy baby. The car behind us had witnessed the unsettling exchange and alerted us to the danger within my vehicle. The elderly couple, horrified by the unfolding events, explained that the man had likely left the toy on the road, waiting for a good Samaritan to fall into his trap. As the man fled into the forest, a wave of shock and relief washed over us. The sinister intentions behind the seemingly innocent roadside discovery left us shaken. It was a chilling reminder of the darkness that could lurk in the most unexpected places. The incident served as a stark lesson to always remain vigilant and cautious, even in the quietude of the secluded roads we think we know so well. About 15 years ago, when I was still in high school, a chilling incident occurred involving my sister, our mom, and a house cleaning gig. Our mom worked as a house cleaner and, as was her habit, she formed friendly connections with the homeowners. One particular couple, an older duo living in a sprawling home surrounded by forests, invited us to swim in their pool regularly. The husband, a CEO of a major airline company, and his wife lived in a high-end neighborhood with a uniquely angular and architecturally intriguing house. The entire abode was adorned with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered breathtaking views of the secluded backyard during the day. However, at night, the reflections from the inside lights made it impossible to see outside, creating an eerie atmosphere. The couple had 2 dogs, Samson, a gentle giant golden retriever, and Sadie, a frenetic husky mix with intense separation anxiety. Due to Sadie's destructive tendencies, my sister and I were often hired to dog sit, an arrangement that paid handsomely at $20 an hour. While most dog-sitting sessions went smoothly, there were occasional moments of tension, especially when Sadie, in her anxious state, would fixate on us with eyes that seemingly turned red. One Easter weekend, the homeowners left town, and my sister was tasked with staying at their place for the weekend. The house was intimidatingly large, so I decided to spend the first night with her. We stayed up late, engrossed in movies and indulging in junk food. The following day was spent enjoying their luxurious pool, but for some reason, I opted not to stay the night again. Little did we know that this decision would spare me from the horrifying events that unfolded that night. My sister, being diligent, decided to use their treadmill in the basement workout room that night. The room had a massive glass door leading to the patio and pool. While running and watching TV, she thought she heard the familiar beep of the house alarm, signaling that a door had been opened. Stopping the treadmill, she discovered the sliding glass door was ajar. Panic set in. It was impossible for such a massive door to open by itself. Despite the unnerving situation, the dogs remained calm, and my sister convinced herself it was a false alarm. However, an unsettling feeling of being watched lingered. After ensuring the door was securely locked, she continued her workout, only to be interrupted by the persistent sensation of eyes on her. Growing increasingly uneasy, she decided to call it a night. After locking up, taking a shower, and settling in the guest bedroom with both dogs, she fell asleep. A few hours later, she was jolted awake by both dogs growling at the door. While Sadie's reactions were erratic, Samson, the typically docile golden retriever, had never exhibited aggression. Frightened, my sister hesitated until she heard the ominous beep of the door alarm. In a panic, she called our dad, who instructed her to hang up and call the police while he rushed over. When my dad arrived, the dogs charged through the house, barking and growling, leading my sister to open the bedroom door and let him in. A thorough search revealed no intruders, but the police discovered the sliding glass door and back gate were tampered with. The police disclosed that the homeowners had received a death threat due to a controversial decision made by the husband at his job, a fact unknown to my sister. The intruder, it seemed, had entered the house through the sliding glass door but had not stolen or disturbed anything. The lack of information from the homeowners about the threat left us shaken. We never dog-sat for them again, and within months, they relocated out of state due to the husband losing his job, a fate some might argue he deserved. In my lone semester at college, my good buddy Alex found himself entangled with a girl named Olivia. Now, Olivia and I had a history from high school, and it wasn't a rosy one. To cut to the chase, she was the embodiment of sketchiness. A pathological liar, her story seldom made sense, and she had a talent for contradicting herself within minutes. Despite her claims of despising drama, it clung to her like a shadow. Olivia perpetually hopped in and out of relationships, adept at playing the victim by spreading rumors about her exes to garner sympathy. She craved attention and went to great lengths to be the center of it all. Prom night showcased her flair for drama. A minor misstep while dancing with her then-boyfriend led to a scene where she accused him of physical abuse. It was cringeworthy. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. Olivia also harbored a hidden drug problem, adding another layer to her already toxic persona. Little did I know that this would become a crucial element in a harrowing saga during Alex's relationship with her. Fast forward to a point where Alex and Olivia had been dating for nearly 2 months. Their relationship was a mess, rife with emotional abuse and manipulation on Olivia's part. However, the focus of this story revolves around Olivia's persistent attempts to extract money from Alex, coupled with her undisclosed drug problem. Olivia would regularly ask Alex for small amounts, ranging from $10 to $20, under the guise of financial struggles. One day, she pushed it further, demanding $500 to cover her rent. Alex, finally putting his foot down, refused. In response, Olivia flipped out, accusing him of not helping her. That night, in a drunken state, she called him, revealing her drug use and blaming her miserable life on him. Surprisingly, Alex didn't break up with her then. The next day, they talked it out, and the issue seemed to be resolved. Little did we know that this was just the calm before the storm. One fateful Friday night, around 10:30, Alex called me in a desperate tone. Olivia, supposedly at a friend's house, needed a ride as she was stranded. Alex's mother, with the car, was working overtime and wouldn't be available until around midnight. Reluctantly, I agreed to drive Alex to pick her up, though I had my reservations about getting involved with Olivia's drama. Alex arrived at my house, and we set off to pick up Olivia. The ominous events that unfolded that night still send shivers down my spine. We reached Olivia's friend's house, situated in a sketchy neighborhood with poorly lit streets. I parked a few houses down under a functioning streetlight, avoiding the darkness. As we waited, a truck circled the block, catching my attention. The same truck returned minutes later, slower this time, with 4 men inside. Alarmed, I urged Alex to call Olivia to expedite our departure. The tension rose as the truck approached, and Alex informed Olivia we were leaving. In the midst of confusion, the truck's occupants made eye contact with me, and a chilling realization struck: I was in potential danger. Sensing trouble, I quickly drove up in front of the house, only to notice the truck following closely. Panic set in as Alex yelled to turn, revealing they were possibly armed. In that horrifying moment, I accelerated, narrowly escaping a dangerous encounter. Navigating through the streets, we theorized on the motives behind the incident. Alex's call to Olivia during the drive revealed her deceitful involvement. The pieces fell into place. We concluded that Olivia orchestrated the setup to have us robbed, possibly by her drug dealer and associates. She had likely used Alex's refusal to give her money as a reason to set this perilous plan in motion. I dropped Alex off, filed a police report, and, despite the gravity of the situation, heard nothing back from the authorities. Olivia's true colors shone through when, in a class confrontation, she denied any involvement, further solidifying our belief in her malicious intent. In the aftermath, Olivia disappeared from our lives. I never crossed paths with her again, and the last I heard, she embarked on a questionable long-distance relationship before dropping out of college. Reflecting on that night, I'm grateful for trusting my instincts. While hindsight provides some comfort, the uncertainty of their intentions during the ordeal was terrifying. The story serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes danger can lurk in the most unexpected places, like a troubled girl from high school and the ominous figures in a truck on a dark, desolate street. In the scorching summer of 1989, on a desolate patch of land in Pawnee, Kansas, my life took an unexpected turn. At the age of 30, I found myself immersed in an eerie twilight, with the sun sinking low on the horizon and a warm breeze rustling through the air. The evening had an idyllic charm, marred only by the lingering scent of burnt popcorn that permeated my kitchen. A defective microwave had been the culprit, prompting me to fling open the windows in a futile attempt to disperse the acrid odor. With the offending bag of popcorn tossed into the trash, I decided to step outside, my mind preoccupied with mundane tasks. As I exited through the back door and headed towards the barn, a faint sound, reminiscent of a cough, reached my ears from the field to my left. Ignoring it, I continued my stroll, blissfully unaware of the impending encounter that would alter the course of that evening. Exiting the barn, I abruptly halted, frozen by the chilling gaze of a large and unkempt figure, standing a mere 10 yards away. Gray streaks adorned his wild and unkempt beard, suggesting an age of 60 or more. Barefoot, he wore stained overalls and suspenders over a bare torso, an oddity that sent shivers down my spine. Though his body bore the weariness of time, his eyes burned with an unsettling mix of hunger and malice. In his right hand, he clutched a hatchet, a menacing presence that instantly fueled my apprehension. Before I could utter a word, I envisioned the calculated steps it would take for him to close the distance. Isolated and vulnerable, I stood alone, with miles of desolation around, as this enigmatic man blocked my path to safety. Moments passed in a silent standoff, the tension thick in the air. Just as I mustered the courage to speak, the man's unexpectedly deep and elegant voice shattered the silence. "I'll spare you for some whiskey," he demanded. Stammering a response I can't recall, I witnessed a sudden escalation as he raised his voice, demanding whiskey with increased intensity. A reflexive step back was all it took for the man to start advancing towards me, the hatchet dangling ominously by his side. The hatred in his eyes, unrestrained and fervent, sent a wave of terror through me. And then, in a split second, chaos erupted. Blood exploded from the side of his head, and he crumpled onto the grass, emitting a guttural grunt upon impact. The crack of a rifle echoed in the aftermath, a stark punctuation to the surreal sequence of events. Without second-guessing, I sprinted for the safety of my kitchen, terrified that a second shot might be aimed my way. Once inside, instead of locking the door and seeking help, instinct guided me to grab my car keys. In my tiny red Volvo, I sped towards the nearest police station. As I spilled the harrowing tale to the officer at the desk, I became aware of blood splatters on my dress. 3 police cars escorted me back home, well past nightfall. Flashlights pierced the darkness as officers combed the area, discovering a pool of blood on my back lawn but no trace of the bearded man or the hatchet. The investigation deepened, expanding into the surrounding woods, where the hounds traced the man's scent for over a mile before the trail vanished into thin air. When dawn arrived and my husband returned, the mystery lingered, leaving me with unanswered questions. The police probed for details about the man and the gunshot, attempting to piece together the events. Yet, the incident unfolded so rapidly that certain details eluded my recollection. To this day, the identity of the bearded man remains shrouded in uncertainty. My family speculates about an escaped convict or a deranged individual, and the unseen shooter, a potential savior, raises conflicting emotions within me. Gratitude for the intervention vies with an unsettling fear, knowing that the line between victim and target blurred that fateful evening. The cold reality persists. I may never unravel the mystery of whether that rifle had been aimed at me or the menacing stranger who momentarily invaded my life. A couple of days ago, my girlfriend and I found ourselves house-sitting for her father in a rather sizable residence nestled in a tranquil suburban neighborhood just outside one of the major cities in Denmark. The neighborhood exuded a sense of safety, the kind you'd associate with well-kept streets and friendly neighbors. Little did we know that this seemingly serene setting would soon turn into the backdrop for an unnerving experience. After returning from a grocery run to stock up on essentials for our weekend stay, we decided to unwind in the expansive living room. This room boasted a floor-to-ceiling window at one end, offering a view that would have been picturesque during the day. Outside this very window was a sensor-triggered light system, a feature that would soon play a crucial role in the unfolding events. As we settled in to enjoy some quality time, an inexplicable feeling of being watched crept over me. At first, I brushed it off, attributing it to the unfamiliarity of the house. Yet, glancing over at my girlfriend, I realized she, too, was visibly disturbed. A heavy silence lingered between us until she tentatively asked if I felt the unsettling presence as well, a feeling that eyes were upon us. Attempting to downplay the eerie vibes, I suggested I go outside for a quick cigarette, assuring her I'd check the surroundings to ease her unease. Turning my attention towards the floor-to-ceiling window, my heart skipped a beat as I noticed the exterior lights flickering to life. A chill ran down my spine, dissuading me from venturing outside. The atmosphere had shifted, and the normalcy of the suburban setting now seemed like a facade. My girlfriend's grip tightened on my arm as she pointed towards one of the windows, her eyes fixed on a shadowy figure outside. Panic set in as I fumbled to grab my phone, the ominous silhouette disappearing as quickly as it had appeared. My call to my parents was a mix of urgency and fear, seeking guidance in this surreal situation. They, fortunately, were not far away, instructing us to lock all doors and windows while they rushed to our aid. Minutes stretched into an agonizing wait, during which I tried to comfort my girlfriend, mindful of her health condition. The tension reached a crescendo when the stillness was shattered by the ominous sound of windows being tampered with. Suppressing my own rising panic, I clung to the hope that my parents' arrival would deter whatever threat loomed outside. Finally, the familiar sound of my dad's car pulling up outside brought a wave of relief. The potential danger seemed to retreat as my parents entered the house, their presence a shield against the unknown. My girlfriend and I later speculated on the possible intruders, considering her mentally ill mother and the more likely suspect of a common burglar. Regardless of the perpetrator's identity, the paramount relief was that they didn't breach our sanctuary. The shadows that had lurked outside were kept at bay, and the suburban calm was gradually restored.